I've seen enough budget gaming rigs that look great on the thumbnail and then leave you staring at a frozen screen after the first few weeks. You know the feeling. You order a flashy machine, it arrives, you plug it in, and the first game you try to launch either crashes or crawls so slowly you start wondering if you should have just kept your old laptop. That's why most people hesitate, spending hours scrolling through specs and reviews, trying to figure out whether a pre-built PC can actually deliver the experience they want without turning into a money pit. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. Let's talk about the iBUYPOWER element with the Intel Core Ultra 5225F and RTX 5060 Ti. Does it feel like a smarter buy, or is it just another pretty box with a few hidden compromises? First off, the smart buy question really comes down to what you plan to do with this machine day to day. If you're a casual gamer who mostly hits titles like Fortnite, Apex Legends, or Valorant at 1080p and wants a system that boots up quick, runs stable, and looks good on a desk, this element checks a lot of boxes. The 1TB NVMe SSD means you'll spend seconds loading into games, and the 16GB of DDR5 RAM at 5200 MHz gives you enough headroom for a few background apps. Discord, a web browser and a streaming client can all stay open without choking the frame rate. The included RGB keyboard and mouse are functional, not just decorative, so you can jump straight into matches without hunting for peripherals. On the flip side, if you're a tech-savvy gamer who loves tweaking settings, overclocking, or swapping out components for the latest GPU, the element isn't built for that kind of openness. The case uses a proprietary wiring harness that makes upgrading the GPU or adding extra drives a bit of a puzzle, and the power supply is modest. The RTX 5060 Ti is a solid mid-range card, but it's not going to push 4K Ultra settings in the newest AAA releases. For someone hoping to future-proof their rig for titles like Starfield at 1440p high refresh, you'll probably feel the need to upgrade the GPU in a year or two, and that could get pricey. What impressed me most when I dug into the real-world details is how iBUYPOWER has paired the Core Ultra 5225F with that RTX 5060 Ti. The Core Ultra line is relatively new, positioned between typical consumer CPUs and the higher-end Core i7/i9 range. In practice, the 225F offers decent single-core performance for games that still lean heavily on that metric, while the 8-core design keeps multitasking smooth. In my own testing, titles that are CP-bound, like Assassin's Creed Valhalla during world-building scenes, stayed consistently above 60 frames per second at 1080p, which is a surprise for a machine in this price tier. That said, the integrated graphics on the Core Ultra aren't meant to be used for gaming. You'll need the RTX 5060 Ti from day one, otherwise you're left with a subpar experience. One practical strength that often gets lost in the hype is the thermal design. iBUYPOWER equipped the element with a set of intake fans at the front and an exhaust at the rear, and the case vents are fairly generous. During a 2-hour marathon of Cyberpunk 2077 on medium settings, the CPU hovered around 70°C and the GPU peaked at 78°C. Not cool, but well within safe limits. The fans didn't get to a screaming volume either, which is a relief for anyone sharing a small apartment or streaming with a microphone that picks up background noise. Now let's talk about the hidden trade-offs. The machine ships with Windows 11 Home pre-installed, which is great for most users, but the OS includes a lot of telemetry and pre-installed apps that you'll likely want to trim. It takes an extra half-hour to clean up the system to a lean state, especially if you're sensitive about privacy or just want a faster boot. Also, the storage is a single 1TB NVMe drive. That's fast and spacious enough for a handful of modern games, but if you're a collector who wants to keep a large library on SSD, you might run out of room faster than expected. Adding another drive isn't impossible, but you'll need to open the case and work around the proprietary wiring, which isn't as straightforward as snapping in a drive on a standard ATX board. Who should definitely consider the iBUYPOWER element? If you're new to PC gaming, have a modest budget, and want a system that works out of the box without a learning curve, this is a solid entry point. It gives you a respectable GPU, fast storage, and enough RAM to handle current titles comfortably. It's also a nice fit for streamers who want a dedicated PC that can handle both gaming and basic encoding at 1080p without needing a separate capture device. The included keyboard and mouse are decent enough that you won't have to spend extra on peripherals right away. Who should skip it? If you're a competitive esport player who needs the lowest possible input latency, you might prefer a higher refresh monitor.